Really nice to see you all. So welcome to Future Fashion Influencers. We are still the only meetup group here based in London of our kind that is focusing on the fashion industry and career development within the fashion industry. So really happy to see you all. Today we've got, I'm really blocking everyone. Today we've got some lovely guest speakers with us, and we're going to talk about how to promote our brand, or your brand, or your blog. They will give you their insights on the subject. And we also got Paolo, who has kindly agreed to film the event and take pictures. So look your sharpest. That's it really.
Let's get started.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hello. Sorry, this is going to be a little awkward because it's not going anywhere in the sound. But let's pretend it does. Sorry? Are you welcome? Cool. I'm the host, same as Joanna just now, for the Fashion Future Influencers Meetup. I'm also the co-founder of a business called VERNEZ, which is a digital media fashion, in other words, fashion social media network. So if you wanted to know more, definitely come and talk to me. I'm more than happy to show you my app. And then today here, we've got the three lovely guest speakers. I'll pass this on for them to introduce themselves.
Do I need to press it, that one?
No, it's running.
Okay, cool. Hi, evening everyone. I'm Luke. I run a business called Rechannel. We're actually a software company that helps brands sell to retailers more easily. So there's a lot of noise in the market about how you as brands, if you work for brands, can sell more easily to your to your consumers. We are the upstream equivalent of that, so we help you sell to boutiques, e-tailers, franchisees even, and some department stores. So we're a software tool whose mission is to simplify the wholesale ordering process, because we know for many brands it's dominated by Excel, email and paper. So we've developed an integrated platform so that you can sell in real time to your different boutiques and retailers around the world. That's me.
Hi, my name's Sam. I'm one half of a label called Bill and Ma. My sister's the designer. She set it up in 2010, and I joined in 2013 to develop the website and do all the digital marketing and social media. We have been really lucky with some of our clothes have been worn by Ellie Goulding, Cara Delevingne, Rita Ora, Ella Eyre, and then so my side of that is to make the most of it and build up our followers, make sure we've got a good database, and just make the customer journey as good as possible, as well as increasing our online presence. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Amazing. How am I going to follow that? Hi, I'm Glenda Stevenson. By day, I'm a marketeer as my full-time job. By night, I'm a fashion blogger. Work Your Style, which I started 2 years ago, which is my passion. So I'm here to talk about how you can start up a blog and, still have a full-time job as well.
Cool. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Right. So as a starting off question, just on a very high level, can you tell us what current approaches you're taking to promote your brand or your business or your blog?
Sure, I'll go first. So we use a number of direct and indirect channels, which I guess is equivalent if you run a brand as well. But we sell to wholesale brands, and we often feel like hyenas following wildebeest across the African savannah, because we traipse across every single trade show we can find to go and talk to the brand that we're trying to sell to. In this day and age, as sophisticated as everything is, it's still very important to meet people face to face. Trade shows are fantastic for us to meet new brands, to meet our current customers, and in addition we have a few partners as well. I guess my one bit of advice is to tread very carefully with partnerships. they can be a huge waste of time, and every once in a while they can be hugely valuable. And so we've been lucky, but we've also wasted, I think, a lot of time, especially to begin with partnerships that seemed interesting, but never bore interesting fruits. So we sell direct and word of mouth. For us as a software product in particular, net promoter scores or good customer feedback should never be underestimated. There's some fantastic research into how to harness viral marketing and so on, and most of that is good old-fashioned word of mouth, but just articulated in new terms. So at the same time, we spend a lot of time and energy making sure our customers are happy and prepared to introduce us to other brands they know, because as we all know, fashion is a small world and very herd-like. So the better recommendations we can get off our customers, so much the better.
Following on, it's actually really similar for us. So whilst I impressed you with my name dropping at the beginning, Bill & Mar started in Spitalfields Market. And the one thing I will say is know your audience. So we very much use social media to target that sort of 18 to 30-year-old girl who wants to have something great to wear out. And whilst we've had celebrity endorsement, really we've built up our following and our brand by our customers. So customer service, 100%. If someone's not happy with their dress, I go above and beyond. I've gone to someone's house before to take the dress around or to change it, because you do everything you can as a small label to be better, because you don't want them walking into Zara or Topshop. You want them to come onto your website and support you. And if they love it and they share it on social media, we support them. And it's exciting if you're 18 or 19 and you think you look fantastic on a night out and you post your blog and you at Bill & Mar and then we repost it. And so we're sort of on the same level as our clients. We're not above or unapproachable. And so we really build that, and we put on all our parcels like hashtag Bill & Mar, send us your selfies, and it's very much that's how we've used it, and we threw all of our social media and built it up. So it's been that sort of organic approach.
Being a new blogger, I think you really have to make the use of social media, and you really have to go for it. But it's up to you what you feel comfortable with, and what you want to invest your time in. So when I first started, I actually only concentrated on Facebook, and I really wanted to get it out on Facebook. And then slowly I introduced Instagram and then Twitter. And Twitter I'm not a great fan of, but I still use it. But my two main ones are Facebook and Instagram. I must stress though that nothing ever is going to work unless you do. So you have to put the time in. So if you're not going out there networking, if you're not posting, if you're not putting new content out, if you're not reaching out to other people, not everything's going to come to you. So you have to put the graft in, but it's completely up to you. But my main channels at the moment are Facebook and Instagram. And as a blogger, you've got to find what's going to work for you and trying to see, get yourself noticed in a sea of millions and millions of other bloggers. And, go to things like this and network with people like you and Luke and, and see how you can create your network and build that for you and what works for you. But I'm only been doing this for 2 years, so in my eyes, I'm still a rookie as well. So I'm always learning every single day.
We've all mentioned quite a few different ways of what you're trying it out. Anything particular that jumps out? Anything that caught you as surprised that, oh, this one actually works particularly well, and you would maybe share with us?
Say guiltily.
Social media terms or just generally?
Generally, anything, yeah, across all.
I think what we found very useful is our referral partners. So there are a boatload of people who have spent their years in fashion and have come away with some great stories, a lot of fun, but kind of slightly tired of the industry, particularly in the buying community, merchandisers and so on. And they're actually quite approachable, because actually it's quite an unloved role, and they signed up maybe many moons ago for this glamorous role, and they're tired, and I don't know, they're in their late 40s or whatever. So if you want advice, or if you want to try and team up with them or go for a cup of coffee, they are more approachable than you'd think. And actually, a couple of hours on LinkedIn, you can get in touch with a few people, and everyone appreciates being asked, and everyone appreciates, particularly if you're a specialist as a buyer, for example, in a particular category, they're actually open to meet up and pick their brains. So we've done that, and we have a few of them now who are kind of working as consultants for us, which has been very helpful in opening doors and also kind of validating new ideas and the development of our platform. So I wasn't necessarily expecting that. I when I contact people on LinkedIn, you get very low results. But if you get in touch people to request their thoughts on what you're up to, a lot of people can be flattered by that. So it's quite a basic point, but something that actually can be very helpful, because actually, people in the industry who have their experience and the contacts can maybe help you too. So.
All my experience has been quite social media based, so I will sound like a broken record and going on about it all night. But Instagram was definitely a big turning point for us. So we had a presence on Facebook and Twitter, but we had a small following on Instagram, but we hadn't utilised it as much, which was short-sighted, because obviously fashion is all about imagery, not about words. So it's the perfect platform. And so I readdressed it at the end of 2013. We started posting 3 times a day and reaching out to people through Instagram. So it was people who had larger followings than us, or who were, breaking ground, sort of. You've got Instagram queens, and it's a similar thing. It's a great platform because everyone is a relatively normal person, and you can reach out to them and get involved. And it was really exciting for us. But it's a lot of hard work. There's no sort of easy, get in touch with a few people and they'll make it all easy for you. It's creating really interesting content that people want to like and they want to share, and concentrating on that and creating a brand image. So not concentrating on sales, concentrating on your brand image and engaging your audience. And we saw a big uptake of followers, and then of course leading onto sales.
And mirroring on from Luke and Sam, I completely agree with what you say, that everyone is human at the end of the day. So all you have to do is reach out, and people love being reached out to. And, being asked to be on the panel was really flattering, and it's great to share our experiences. And, people are just human. And I've met some big bloggers, like my, fashion hero bloggers out there, and they're just human. They're not aliens. They're just like me and you. So don't ever be scared of just reaching out to anyone, when you're starting. But I must stress that if you're starting and you want to do a blog, you've got to be 100% true to yourself, and don't try and copy anyone else or trying to mirror someone else, because it will just show in your writing or your pictures. And you want to come off as authentic, but just be whatever you're passionate about, do it. And the hardest step is the first step. But once you do the first step, everything else will evolve. Just do it and start it, and then everything else will fall in place after that.
Yeah, and I can totally agree to that as well, as being an entrepreneur in the fashion technology business as well so far. And we've built up our Instagram, even though it's still just about 5,000 followers at the moment. So we're kind of still on our way up. But so far we've only managed it from September, October last year, which is considered can be quite a fast increase. So I can completely agree with Sam and what Glinda had mentioned about being true to yourself, as well as what we found very useful is also if you show more personality coming through from your social networks too, so people know. I think that's one of the biggest challenge with social media as well, is that people can seem a bit robotic. You don't seem like a real person. So it's really important to manage that kind of that image, that you seem like a real human being here, and you have a personality, you have things you like, things you don't like. So that's kind of helping people to relate to you even more. Why is social media so important for your business? What is it that social media does that other channels won't? Anyone?
It's a very good question. I will defer to Sam probably on this more than me. So as a B2B business, it's not as important as a B2C business. But in my opinion, it's that ability to broadcast to a massive, almost an infinite number of people with not a huge amount of effort. It does require discipline and so on, but it's that global reach. And on that note, I defer to Sam.
I think it's because it's really exciting, and it's sort of like, you can imagine walking into like a room like this. You don't know who you're going to meet, what connections you're going to make, how you're going to work together in the future. And social media now gives the opportunity for Louisa, who lives in the Oxfordshire countryside, to directly tweet me and get an answer on maybe the size of a dress that she's going to wear to her university leavers ball. And it's sort of a connection, like the big brand, and it's sort of the idea that it's impenetrable is over now. You have to answer, you have to engage, and you have to have a relationship. But that also allows you to tap into what your audience wants, and you can benefit from it a lot. It's not just them coming to you saying, where's this, my delivery's late, or we really like this, and sharing your content. You can use them. So it's beneficial on both sides, and you can really steer your business plan. We very much make a plan for all of our different social media networks. So it is thought through, but then obviously when we're doing it, it's to give that spontaneous feel, or that sort of lifelike feel, really. And which is why I also say, sorry, my sleeve's vibrating. I always say, definitely don't try and sell too hard through your social media. I do a bit on Twitter. I think it's just a bit more acceptable. The age range also for Twitter is much higher than our general audience. So, the most sort of engaged audience is 35 to 50, I think, on Twitter, and the biggest growing audience is 55 plus. So for 18 to 30, but it's still a presence, and we can link him with lots of other people in different ways, especially journalists.
Those numbers down.
Yeah. But Instagram and Facebook, perfect target audience. We can really engage, and it's just it's an opportunity, and it breaks down sort of barriers, I think, really.
Well, to me as a blogger, social media is the only channel, but it's current, it's popular, it gets to the masses, it's global, it's instant, people are connected straight away, but big businesses that do it. I work for American Express. I've utilised where I work now to how to adapt what I'm doing to mirror that together. American Express is all over social media. Every major corporation is all over social media. It's the quickest, fastest way to get to your audience. And it's fast, it spreads. It's the only way in the day and age that we live in now. But you have to make that work for you, and how you're going to make it work for you, because also it can backfire quickly, very, very quickly. And like Sam was saying, it's the quickest way to get to your, your target market, and it's the quickest way that you can make a complaint, or the quickest way that you can ask for a dress. But it's also the quickest way that they can come back to you and say, I hate you, I hate your customer service, I hate what you're doing. So you've got to use it smartly, wisely, because it's there. It's a power. It's a force to be reckoned with, but also treat it in a respectful way, because it can come back and bite you on the arse very, very quickly.
Completely agree. So on that point, thanks. So actually on that point, what do you recommend to, or what have you done to kind of prevent that from happening, or what have you done to make the most out of social media?
Be nice. Just be nice. Just be a nice human being. You just, don't be an arse. Just be a nice person, and you just, I believe in what you ever give out to the universe, it gives you back. Just be a nice person.
I also meant, so are there any particular things that you can do to make sure that you gain most attention, in a positive way, minimize complaints, any actionable advices you could give and share with us?
You've got to build on your personal brand, you have to build on your presence, you've got to build what you want your brand to be, and you've got to be true to that. You've got to be 100% true to what your brand is. No one wants to be an arsehole. No one wants that to be their branding. You've got to be and you've got to live that 100%. If you're putting it out there on social media, because remember, you make one tiny mistake, that's there forever. Forever, and you've got to live with that.
And also, like, just acknowledge it. You can't be perfect. No one's perfect. If someone's really unhappy, I'd rather address it in a public forum than like delete it or try and do it secretly. Maybe then get more upset, or So would just be like, openly ask before, what's wrong? How can we help? And keep the conversation public, because if you are nice and normal, and don't become corporate or sort of shut down or ignore it, then you're probably going to retain them as a client or a customer or whatever you like. And then you can hopefully turn the relationship around, and everyone else thinks, okay, if I'm unhappy, and if I'm unhappy with my dress, I can just tweet Sam and she will create a solution and everything will be okay.
The one thing I'd say, I mean, the best bit of advice I ever had on social media was to try and imagine you're at like a drinks party, or you're in a relaxed environment, you're having a conversation with someone that maybe you don't know that well, but it's still a relaxed environment, and you're just trying to say to be yourself first of all, as everyone's saying here, but also just to say like things that are interesting, but aren't kind of pushy. So you don't want to be an arsehole and like oversell yourself when you're someone you've just met, but maybe you want to butt in and say something interesting, listen to what they have to say and engage, and it's trying to develop that right conversational tone without it being too forceful, too laid back, and it's quite difficult to know how to navigate that, but maybe trying to think of a real world scenario where you feel yourself, you feel comfortable, and you're just trying to gently communicate your message to the right people.
I completely agree. Now, I know everyone is thinking that this is really not enough time for us to talk about, but we have hit the line and kind of went over a little bit already. So I'm just gonna go with my last question and then you guys can ask questions as well. So my last question is, if you were to give one piece of advice to someone who are working on a business similar to yours, trying to promote it, what would you advise them?
So I'm going to dip into the pool of cliches a bit and say, I think it's really, you'll save yourself a lot of time if you really begin to understand your customer, and you need to do this in as granular detail as possible. So, even if it comes down to hypothesizing who your perfect customer is, their exact age, their name, what they might look like, the color of their hair, where they live, if they have a dog, the car they drive. You'd need to think of an extremely concrete example of your perfect customer, because ultimately you can come back to that model and say, okay, is this relevant? Am I marketing in the wrong channel? Actually, Jane Smith would never participate in that channel, therefore this is completely irrelevant. So it's an easy reference point to kind of peel back and say, wait, hang on a second, this isn't right. I could blow a boatload of cash chasing this, but it's a good safety check to say, am I reaching out to the right people? But at the end of the day, it's still immense hard work. There's still no easy ways to building anything, whatever it is, and you will be rejected. There will be some amazing times. You'll be rejected a boatload more. There will hopefully be a few more amazing times. You'll be having 3 or 4 meals a day at your desk, and 7 days a week, and etc. But it's always worth it. But I would focus on really understanding your customer, because in the long run that will save you a lot of time and energy.
That's totally going to be my answer, so annoying. But on the other hand, so I freelance and work with other companies to help build up their social media presence. And the first thing I ask is, who are your competitors, or like who are you in the market with? Not every time, but quite a lot of the time, people are like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? That is the most ridiculous answer to have. So if you are starting up a fashion label, or you're going to sell jewellery, or you are going to do something completely, know who else is doing it and what they're doing. And it's not so you can copy it, but so you can just have a better understanding of what you're up against. You want to have your own voice, and you want to do something unique, but you need to know where you are. So knowing your customer or your audience, definitely, but knowing where you are in the market, because if you're competing as a small label, for instance, let's put it into context, we are directly competing with someone like Topshop on a similar price dress that someone wants to buy for the weekend. However, if I try to copy what Topshop was doing, then we wouldn't really get anywhere at all. But at the same time, I know our audiences cross over, so maybe there are certain like patterns or events, something like that I can build into and sort of be on the outer radar of. And likewise, sometimes I've seen other labels much bigger and sort of do similar stuff to us, and when that happens, then you're like, yes, that is the best feeling ever, because they're watching you and they know that their audience is interested in you. So it might not seem important initially, but it really is. Like, do your research. It's worth it in the long run.
Be authentic, be consistent. Everyone can spot a fraud from a mile off, and just be yourself, and you've just got to be true to yourself. And also, it is hard work, so don't ever think it's going to be easy, but nothing worth having is going to come easy. You've got to put the work in, and it's always going to be hard work. And patience, be patient, and it's not going to happen in the first 6 months.
Yeah. Don't ever give up.
Don't ever give up.
It couldn't possibly get worse. One, it will.
Yeah.
And two, you've got to keep on going, because you don't know what is going to happen.
Yeah, you don't know.
Corner. And then suddenly you'll be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Woohoo, we're winning. And then the next day you're like, oh no.
Just keep on going.
It just goes up and down.
If you love it, just
stop.
keep on going. But just be authentic. Just don't be anything else but your own brand.
Yeah. So now off to our audience. Yes, questions.
I wanted to ask Sam if you had any specific Instagram tips how you actually build that audience, because obviously there's no retweeting and all those sort of things. So any tips for Instagram how to build an audience?
Definitely. Thank you. Be consistent. So we Instagram 3 times a day. Depending on how big your audience is, you don't want to annoy people by posting too much. But definitely as you start to grow, I would say base it around meal times. So breakfast, lunch, and I say a bit earlier, so the commute home, so like 5:30. And you will start to see it takes a long time, but you keep on going, and also be intelligent with like your content. So don't take blurry pictures of your cats. No one cares. Don't take
unless
pictures.
you've got a blog about cats.
Unless you've got a blog about cats, sorry. I'm exceptionally, I always think everything is about me and what I'm doing. Completely live in my own social media world. But so unless your blog is about blurry cats or is about being out with your friends, if you're, doing your personal blog, maybe that, but as a brand, I try and keep it sort of relevant. So, and another thing that really annoys me is, blurry photographs. Make sure they are really good. But gone are the days where you can take a photograph and then just do the Instagram filters or whatever.
I agree.
Download a load of apps, look into it, and you need to take really sharp, high quality photographs. Take photographs on a camera, download it to your laptop, get them on your phone, use different filters, and then put them on, because people are looking for something different, not, the third filter, slightly blurry, black on the side.
Agreed.
It doesn't cut it anymore.
It was a game changer for me when I got a decent camera.
Yeah.
And it made the difference 1,000% in my eyes.
And sorry, I'm going to start. I could literally talk about this for hours. So create your own content and use your hashtags wisely. Again, do a bit of research. see if there's a big following. Don't put like 20 hashtags on the bottom of something. It turns people off straight away. They will flip past. Maybe 3 or 4 with a big, and you'll start, and it will build and it will grow and people start looking for you.
Good answer.
Any other questions? Yes.
Hey, $1 million question. Social media, yes, it's free and you can use your own time to do it, but time is money.
Yep.
And if you're running a business, you don't have the time. So ideally, you want a lot of money and you put all the money AdWords because they are really good leads. And social media, if you have 10,000 people who like you, it doesn't mean you have to sell. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, question: is it worth it? And when is the point you see any money coming back?
This is an excellent question. We've wrestled with this for hours. I haven't argued with my co-founder once, with the exception of this exact point. It's like, she's like, we should take social media seriously. And I said, of course we do in this day and age. Like, well, first hour every day I'm going to be on Twitter and we're going to build up a huge Twitter presence and we're going to blow the lights out Twitter. Which sounds like a good idea, perhaps, but part of me thinks, well, I could spend that hour talking to all the customers, all our leads, or I could either, our greatest problem is, exactly as you say, is limited time. We have so much to do. If you're starting a business, you have at least 10 job descriptions, and trying to squish that all into a working day is impossible. So how the hell do you manage that? It's still a question I'm wrestling with. There are tools like Hootsuite, which is very helpful, at least for Twitter, so you can program tweets a bit more easily. So you can say, right, I'm going to blitz it in half an hour at the beginning of the day. I'm going to program my tweets to go out breakfast, lunch, and tea, and so on. But I think it kind of depends on your business and what channel you're trying to sell through. If you're a digitally marketed driven site that relies on traffic from social media, then it's going to be more important. If you have different channels, if you have a retail channel, a wholesale channel, etc., then maybe it's not quite as important, or so on. So I totally empathise with that tough call, and ultimately it comes down to trial and error. So that's all I'd say.
I completely agree with you. Like, time is money, and if you are spending a lot of time on your social media and you're not seeing anything back, then potentially it would raise questions. I would say really look at who your audience is and think of the best channels, because if you're spreading yourself across, sometimes it's better to be awesome at one rather than like mediocre on many, especially if you're not getting any traction. So I remember one company who does like keyboards that you can download onto your iPhone or your smartphone, and they had an Instagram account and they were just posting pictures of their different keyboards. Like, why? I was like, why? I was like, go on Twitter. Like, start targeting people who have 60 employees in a company and they all have company phones and they'll all download it and, use it smartly. The one thing about social media, instead of doing Google AdWords, is that you are not directly selling to people. So people are more relaxed and they're more open-minded when they see you. So on average, like, people have to see you 6 times before it registers. So if they've seen you on Facebook, Instagram, maybe Twitter, they've seen a Google AdWord, they've seen someone that they know wear it, and then they see you in a magazine, they're probably going to go and buy from you. If they just see your Google AdWords, this is obviously I'm talking about myself here, but if they just see Bill and Mark Google AdWords all the time, then that probably wouldn't have as greater impact on getting return customers and a bigger following. But you have to definitely find what works for you. What works for me and what works for these guys is completely different.
So can I just butt in this first? Say you're sitting with your financial director now.
Yeah.
She asks you, justify yourself. What is what you've done? Justify it. Here's the baseline. Here's the profits.
Yeah.
This is sales from so here from so here. Where's your sales?
Okay, so if I put something on, the way I've developed my audiences is that's what I'm saying. You target and you build a strategy. Is that if I put something on Instagram, we sell it. So if I post something on Instagram, I'll see sales come through that day. If we get a celebrity wearing it, it's through social media. We repost, we engage massively, and we sell out. But so obviously that's for me. But you can, yeah, definitely, and you can obviously, like, especially through Twitter and Facebook, you can add pixels and you can see what converts. And Facebook, especially as business, you're going to have to start paying for it now. And you can do lots of fantastic targeting. But there's 1 billion people on Facebook. More than likely, your audience is there. You know, YouTube is the 2nd biggest search engine in the world. If you've got great, engaging video content that you can share, it's going to be fantastic. You don't know who's going to come across. So it is harder. You can, a lot of the time, my financial director definitely sometimes gives me a hard time about it, but you will see a growing, like a strength in your followers. It's different for every industry. I appreciate that, but it is definitely, the way I've built it, and you build a genuine following, never buy your followers as well. You will start to see an impact, and return followers especially.
Yeah, Fiona, come to the front.
It's interesting that you guys were so adamant about not giving up. I was remembering the last fashion meetup the first fashion meetup that you hosted, and I moved my whole life to London to break into the fashion industry. 10-year career in marketing and communications, and I came here to do it all. And I had kind of given up at the last fashion meetup, and it was because of some of the conversations that I had with some of the people here that I left reinvigorated and remotivated. And then I found Stella and Dot, and I got into the fashion business even though they didn't want me, and I took matters into my own hands and am making it work. So thank you very much for hosting this amazing event and making a place where we can all come together. So a little bit about Stella and Dot. I don't know how familiar you guys are. It's a new brand here in the UK. We've been around for about 2 or 3 years. It's a boutique style jewelry brand that's sold exclusively through in-home trunk shows and online. So I think pop-up shop in your living room kind of thing. And it's because of hostesses like Mo Yang that I can do my business. So because Mo Yang has been so gracious of opening this space to me, she has the potential to earn some free jewelry tonight. If that sounds of interest to you, all you have to do is host a trunk show at your house. I do all the work. You invite your friends. We have some fun with fashion, some styling. They do some shopping, and you earn some free jewelry. So let's talk. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much. So let's get to know each other. Have a drink if you haven't had one yet, or have a second one.
Yeah, have
if you want.
got so much.
Let's just mingle. And also, if anyone is interested to be a part of this kind of panel interview for our next meetup, just come and give me a tap on the shoulder. And
Go.
nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.